Hi folks, Tim Gresh here with a gear review. This is the Rotor 2INpower crankset. So what this is a dual-sided reading crank. So some cranks will actually only read power from one side and kind of use an algorithm and give you power on the other leg. These are a true dual-sided power crank. And they're also available in 155 length. So I have these in here because I did a fit for a customer and they need 155 cranks, but they also want to have a power reading and they want dual-sided. And I mean, this is really the only game in town to do that. With these cranks, you can get them in all of your standard sizes, all the way down to a 165. But then in the short crank category, they've got the 155. Nothing else aside from that. So let's just check these out. Overall, this is what I expect out of Rotor. Whenever I get their stuff, it's really well made. It's lightweight, and it's just sort of like the kind of thing you would put on a really nice bike. You know, in my experience, because I do a lot of work with like shorter cranks, you know, this is the kind of thing that you would do if you're like, all right, I need shorter cranks, and particularly if you need 155s, and I want something really nice, like Durace level. These cranks come in at, I believe, 730 grams, which is lighter than like a Durace dual-sided power crank. So a premium crank, like $1,300, and this actually comes in a bundle where you get everything you see here. And you can spec out your chain rings. You can get these in Shimano or SRAM. So these are actually going to go on a Shimano bike. So these are Shimano compatible chain rings. You get the size that you need. You get the spider. It all comes in this kit. You also have your charge cable, of course. The charging is kind of cool. A little magnet that clips on here on the end. There's your charging lithium battery. It's not removable, so if that ever dies, you just send it back to Rotor and they can put a new one in, but you can typically expect a lithium battery to last quite a long time. And then you have a rubber cover that would go over here to seal it up, but it's pretty well waterproof. Putting the spider on here, they do provide a tool, so there is a lock ring that goes right here, and your spider will just kind of go in those splines, kind of like a rotor, like a brake rotor that goes on a wheel, a similar concept to that. Your spider goes on with your chain rings over there. But pretty impressive crank, lightweight. Also too, we've got this kit that comes with it. This is basically a kit of spacers needed to adapt the crank depending on the bottom bracket you have. So they add that in there as well, which is kind of cool because sometimes you buy a Rotor crank, you don't have these, it can't get on your bike. They use a 30mm spindle here as well. So they just give you everything you need to do this setup. So premium crank, I mean, it's the only game in town. If you want a really nice crank with power meter 155, you know, this is the ticket. And I've installed quite a few Rotor cranks and they always install very nicely. Everything is machined very precise. Yeah, always just like an impressive piece of equipment. There's your 155. I don't know a whole lot about like accuracy of power meters. I don't do that kind of testing. I'll leave that to the guys like DC Rainmaker to dive into it. But just from a bike fitting standpoint, I like Rotor for your premium cranks. So there you go. Thanks for watching and enjoy every ride.